The Boston skyline glittered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Pinnacle Media's headquarters, a sleek glass tower that screamed money and ambition. Ethan Caldwell adjusted his tie, the same navy silk he'd worn for every major client meeting over the past 18 years. His office, a corner suite on the 32nd floor, was a testament to his grind. Framed contracts with major studios lined the walls, a worn leather notebook sat open on his desk, and a single photo of his wife Sarah and their daughter Lily smiled from the corner. The room smelled of coffee and determination, the kind that had turned a struggling Northeast sales division into Pinnacle's golden goose. Ethan was mid-call with Clara Monroe, the sharp-witted CEO of Monroe Studios, one of Pinnacle's biggest clients. "Clara, I'm telling you, your new documentary series is going to need a heavier push with the indie theaters. I've got contacts in Portland and Burlington who'll eat it up," he said, scribbling notes in his leather-bound book. His handwriting was meticulous, each letter a deliberate act of focus. "Ethan, you're the only one who gets it," Clara replied, her voice crackling with warmth over the speakerphone. "Everyone else just sends me spreadsheets and Zoom invites. When are you coming up to Maine? I owe you a lobster roll." "This month, and I'm holding you to it," Ethan chuckled. "Let me lock in the distribution plan and we'll—" A sharp knock interrupted him. Ethan glanced up to see Ryan Tate, his assistant director, hovering in the doorway. Ryan's face was pale, his usual easy grin replaced by a tight-lipped grimace. "Ethan, sorry to cut in. You've got a meeting at 2. Executive boardroom?" Ethan frowned, glancing at his watch. 1:45 p.m. News to me. "Who's it with?" Ryan hesitated, his eyes darting to the floor. "Olivia. Just her and someone from legal, I think." Ethan's gut tightened. Olivia Harper, Pinnacle's new CEO, had been in the role for 6 months, and every interaction with her felt like walking through a minefield. She'd come from a tech giant in Seattle, all algorithms and buzzwords, with no experience in media production. Ethan had kept his head down, delivering results while she preached digital transformation in every meeting, but something about Ryan's tone set his nerves on edge. "All right, I'll wrap this up," Ethan said, forcing a calm he didn't feel. "Clara, I'll send you the draft plan by tonight." "Sounds good, Ethan. Don't let those suits stress you out," Clara said before hanging up. Ethan stood, smoothing his jacket. He grabbed his notebook, his analog brain, as Sarah called it, and headed for the elevator. The boardroom was on the 40th floor, a space Ethan had rarely visited since Olivia's arrival. She'd gutted the old mahogany-paneled room, replacing it with glass walls, a holographic display, and minimalist chairs that looked like they belonged in a sci-fi movie. It was a statement. The old Pinnacle was dead, and Olivia was here to disrupt. The elevator dinged, and Ethan stepped into the sterile hallway. The boardroom's glass doors were frosted, but he could make out 2 figures inside. No one else, no board members, no other directors, just Olivia and a stranger in a suit. Ethan's pulse quickened. He'd seen enough corporate ambushes to know this wasn't a strategy session. He pushed open the door, and the air felt colder than it should have. Olivia Harper sat at the head of the sleek obsidian table, her platinum blonde hair pulled into a severe bun. Her navy blazer was tailored to perfection, and her eyes, ice blue and unblinking, locked onto Ethan like a predator sizing up prey. Beside her was a man Ethan didn't recognize, mid-40s, slicked back hair, and a briefcase that probably cost more than Ethan's car. "Legal," Ethan thought, his stomach sinking. "Ethan, please sit," Olivia said, her voice smooth but devoid of warmth. She gestured to a chair across from her, isolated on the other side of the table. No coffee, no pleasantries, just a power play. Ethan sat, setting his notebook down deliberately. "Didn't see this on my calendar," he said, keeping his tone neutral. "What's this about?" Olivia leaned forward, her hands clasped tightly enough to show the whites of her knuckles. "Ethan, I'll be direct. Your contributions to Pinnacle have been noted. But the company is moving in a new direction, and we've decided your leadership no longer aligns with our vision." The words hit like a sucker punch, but Ethan didn't flinch. 18 years, building the Northeast division from a crumbling office in Back Bay to a juggernaut that generated 70% of Pinnacle's revenue. Gone in a single sentence. He'd turned Beacon Content, a scrappy media outfit with 20 employees, into Pinnacle Media, a powerhouse that brokered deals with studios from Boston to Montreal. 500% growth, countless late nights, and relationships forged over handshakes and shared meals. All dismissed because he didn't fit Olivia's vision. Care to elaborate? Ethan asked, his voice steady despite the rage simmering beneath. Last quarter, my team closed $15 million, 0 cents, in contracts. We're on track to hit $20 million, 0 cents, by year-end. Numbers don't lie. Olivia's lips curled into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. It's not about numbers, Ethan. It's about adaptability. Your methods, notebooks, in-person meetings, endless dinners, are relics. We're a digital-first company now. Our clients need data-driven strategies, not charm offensives. Ethan's jaw tightened. Charm offensives? He'd spent years learning the names of his clients' kids, attending their gallery openings and negotiating deals that kept small studios alive in a cutthroat industry. Clara Monroe didn't sign a $5 million 0 cents contract because of a spreadsheet. She signed because Ethan had flown to Maine during a blizzard to pitch her in person. But Olivia, with her Silicon Valley pedigree and zero media experience, wouldn't understand that. The lawyer cleared his throat, sliding a folder across the table. Mr. Caldwell, this is your severance agreement. 6 months' pay, health coverage for 90 days, and a standard non-compete clause. We'll need your signature before you leave. Ethan didn't touch the folder. 18 years, and this is how it ends? A 10-minute meeting, and a handshake from a lawyer I've never met? Olivia's smile vanished. This isn't personal, Ethan. It's business. We need leaders who can embrace the future, not cling to the past. The room fell silent, the hum of the holographic display the only sound. Ethan could feel the weight of their stares, waiting for him to crack. But he'd faced tougher rooms than this. Union reps, furious studio heads, even a mobbed-up distributor in Providence. He wasn't about to give Olivia the satisfaction of a reaction. He stood, tucking his notebook under his arm. "I'll have my lawyer review this," he said, nodding at the folder. "Anything else?" Olivia's eyes narrowed, but she said nothing. The lawyer shifted uncomfortably. Ethan turned and walked out, the glass doors hissing shut behind him. Back in his office, Ethan moved like a man possessed. He didn't trust Olivia not to have security escort him out, so he packed fast. The photo of Sarah and Lily, his notebook, a few client contracts he'd kept for sentimental reasons. The rest? Awards, files, even the coffee mug Lily had painted for Father's Day. He left behind. No goodbyes, no scene. Just efficiency. In the parking garage, he slid into his Audi, the leather creaking under his weight. His phone buzzed, 3 missed calls from Clara Monroe, 2 texts from other clients. Word was already spreading. He ignored them, staring at the concrete wall ahead. 18 years and Olivia had gutted him like a fish. But why? He was the company's top performer, untouchable by any metric, unless this wasn't about performance at all. Ethan's mind raced. Olivia had been hired after the death of Pinnacle's chairman, Henry Whitaker, a media veteran who'd hand-picked Ethan 2 decades ago. Back then, Beacon Content was a small player, brokering deals for local radio stations and print magazines. Ethan had joined because Henry understood that media wasn't just about content, it was about people. Ethan had built his division on that principle, driving to every studio in the Northeast, learning their quirks, their dreams, their fears. By the time Beacon became Pinnacle, his team was a machine, closing deals that made the board's eyes bulge. But Henry's death had changed everything. The board, desperate to modernize, brought in Olivia, a tech darling who'd optimized ad algorithms for a Seattle conglomerate. She'd arrived with consultants, PowerPoint decks, and a mission to disrupt. Ethan had sensed her disdain in every meeting, her glances at his notebook, her sighs when he mentioned client dinners. He'd ignored it, assuming his results would protect him. Clearly, he'd underestimated her. His phone buzzed again. A new email from an address he didn't recognize. cm@monroestudios.net. Clara? He opened it, expecting condolences or a plea to explain. Instead, it was a proposal. Ethan? Heard the news. Let's talk. Monroe Studios could use your expertise on a freelance basis. Name your price. Ethan's blood ran cold. The email was too perfect, too immediate. Clara always called him directly. She hated email. And the address was off her usual, was clara.monroe@monroestudios.com. He leaned back, his mind clicking into gear. This was a trap. Olivia's team was watching, waiting for him to bite so they could slap him with a non-compete violation. The agreement in that folder probably barred him from working with Pinnacle's clients for years. One wrong move and they'd bury him in lawsuits. He deleted the email, his hands steady despite the adrenaline. Olivia wasn't just firing him, she was trying to destroy him. But why go to such lengths? He was one man, not a threat to her empire. Unless she knew something he didn't. Ethan started the car and pulled out of the garage, the Boston streets blurring past. He needed answers, and he wasn't going to find them in Pinnacle's tower. His first call was to his lawyer, Benjamin Cole, a bulldog who'd handled Ethan's contracts for a decade. Ben, it's Ethan. I need you to look at something. Pinnacle just fired me, and they're pushing a non-compete that smells like a setup. Ben's voice was all business. They fired you, the guy who's basically their bank account? Send me the agreement, and don't talk to anyone until I review it. Already on it, Ethan said, merging onto the Mass Pike. But there's more. I just got a fake email from a client fishing for a response. They're trying to trap me. Ben whistled. That's dirty, even for corporate. Sit tight, Ethan. I'll dig into this. You, at home? Not yet. I need to clear my head. Be careful. If they're playing games, they're watching you. Ethan hung up, his grip tightening on the wheel. He drove toward the Charles River, the water glinting under the afternoon sun. Parking near the esplanade, he stepped out, the cold air biting through his jacket. His phone buzzed again. Clara Monroe, this time from her real number. Ethan, what the hell happened? Clara's voice was sharp, no nonsense. I just got a call from some kid at Pinnacle saying he's my new account manager. He didn't even know we're launching a docuseries next month. Ethan exhaled, the tension in his chest easing slightly. They let me go, Clara. Olivia's running the show now, and she's got a different playbook. That's insane, Clara snapped. You're Pinnacle to half of us. I'm not working with some data nerd who can't pronounce auteur. What's going on over there? I'm still figuring it out, Ethan said, his eyes scanning the river. But it's not good. They're pushing a digital overhaul, and it's alienating everyone. Clara snorted. No kidding. That kid sent me a 40-page engagement report this morning. Not one word about our new project. Ethan, we need you. What's your next move? Ethan hesitated. Clara's loyalty was a lifeline, but he couldn't risk stepping into Olivia's trap. I'm sorting through some legal stuff first. I'll call you soon. Don't wait too long, Clara said. This industry doesn't pause. Ethan pocketed his phone and leaned against the railing, the river's current steady and unyielding. Pinnacle was crumbling. He could feel it. Clara wasn't the only one frustrated. Other clients would be calling soon, furious at Olivia's robotic approach. Ethan's methods, handwritten notes, late-night strategy sessions over whiskey, knowing which studio head hated emails, had built an empire. Olivia thought she could replace that with algorithms and Zoom calls. She was wrong. But she wasn't stupid. The fake email proved she was playing a deeper game. Ethan's firing wasn't just about vision. Olivia was consolidating power, erasing anyone loyal to Henry Whitaker's era. Ethan was the last holdout, the one director who didn't bow to her tech gospel. She'd taken him out to send a message, adapt or disappear. His phone vibrated again. Another email, this time from Ryan. The subject line was blank, and the message was short. Check your mailbox when you get home. Don't reply to this. Ethan's pulse spiked. Ryan was risking his job to help, but Ethan didn't trust it. What if this was another of Olivia's games? A package could be anything: documents, evidence, or a setup to accuse him of stealing trade secrets. He'd have to be careful. Driving home to his brownstone in Beacon Hill, Ethan's mind churned. The house was quiet. Sarah was in New York for a conference, and Lily was at college in Vermont. He checked the mailbox, half expecting a bomb. Instead, he found a plain manila envelope, no return address. Inside was a single USB drive, unlabeled. Ethan stared at it, his instincts screaming caution. Plugging it in could infect his computer, giving Pinnacle's lawyers a pretext to claim he'd hacked their systems. But curiosity gnawed at him. Ryan wouldn't risk this for nothing. Ethan grabbed his old laptop, one he hadn't used in years, and powered it up in the kitchen. The USB contained one file, a PDF titled Pinnacle Q2 Projections. He opened it, his eyes scanning the numbers. Revenue down 30% year over year. Client retention at a 10-year low. A note scrawled in the margin, in Ryan's handwriting. Olivia's hiding this from the board. They're bleeding out. Ethan leaned back, the pieces falling into place. Olivia wasn't just purging Henry's loyalists, she was covering up a disaster. Her digital overhaul was tanking Pinnacle, and she needed a scapegoat. Ethan's firing was her first move, a way to pin the collapse on outdated leadership. The fake email was insurance, a way to keep him sidelined if he fought back. But she'd underestimated him. Ethan hadn't built his division by being reckless. He forwarded the PDF to Ben, along with a note, "Verify this. If it's real, we've got leverage." As night fell, Ethan poured a bourbon and sat in his study, the city lights filtering through the window. His phone lit up with another call, Monroe Studios again. He let it go to voicemail, knowing Clara would understand. He wasn't ready to talk, not yet. Olivia had declared war, and Ethan wasn't going to play her game. He'd build his own. The USB drive sat on his desk, a tiny grenade waiting to detonate. Ethan sipped his bourbon, a slow smile spreading across his face. Olivia thought she'd broken him. She was about to learn how wrong she was. The Boston dawn broke gray and heavy, casting a muted glow over Ethan Caldwell's Beacon Hill brownstone. He hadn't slept, not really, just a few restless hours haunted by the memory of Olivia Harper's cold smile and the USB drive still sitting on his desk like a ticking bomb. His study smelled of bourbon and old books, the kind of scent that grounded him when the world felt like it was slipping away. Ethan sat at his desk, his leather notebook open to a fresh page, his pen hovering. He hadn't written a word since yesterday's ambush, but the act of holding the pen steadied his pulse. He was a man of habits, and habits had built an empire. They'd build another. His phone buzzed, shattering the quiet. Clara Monroe again. Ethan let it ring, his eyes fixed on the USB drive. He'd forwarded the PDF to his lawyer, Ben Cole, but hadn't heard back. The document, Pinnacle's Q2 projections, showing a 30% revenue drop, was either a lifeline or a trap. Ryan Tate, his former assistant director, had risked everything to send it, but Ethan's instincts screamed caution. Olivia was cunning, and this could be her second attempt to bury him. The fake email from Clara yesterday had been her first shot, a clumsy lure to catch him violating the non-compete. This USB was different, too bold, too dangerous. If it held stolen data, plugging it in could give Pinnacle's lawyers the ammunition to accuse him of corporate espionage. Ethan stood, pacing to the window. The street below was waking up. A jogger in neon spandex, a delivery truck idling at the corner. Normalcy mocked him. 18 years at Pinnacle Media, turning a crumbling Northeast division into a juggernaut that bankrolled 70% of the company's profits, and now he was dodging traps like a fugitive. He thought of Henry Whitaker, the late chairman who'd hired him when Pinnacle was still Beacon Content, a scrappy outfit cutting deals for local TV stations. "Ethan," Henry had said, pouring him a scotch in a cramped Back Bay office, "this business isn't about screens or signals. It's about people trusting people. You get that, and we'll go far." They had. 500% growth, studios from Boston to Montreal singing Ethan's praises, all of it erased. in 10 minutes, by a CEO who'd never set foot in a production studio. The phone buzzed again. This time it was Ben. Ethan answered, his voice low. "Tell me you've got something." "I've got plenty," Ben said. His tone clipped. "That severance agreement is a joke. The non-compete's so broad it's unenforceable. Bars you from working in media anywhere in the U.S. for 2 years. No court would uphold it. They're banking on you being too scared to fight." Ethan exhaled, a knot loosening in his chest. "And the PDF?" "Still verifying. But it looks legit. Pinnacle's bleeding revenue's down worse than they're admitting. If Brian's note is true, Olivia's hiding the real numbers from the board. I need more time to confirm the source." "Do it quietly," Ethan said. "She's already tried one trap. I got a fake email yesterday, fishing for a non-compete violation." Ben swore under his breath. "She's desperate. Stay offline, Ethan. No emails, no calls to clients. If she's this aggressive, she's watching you." "Got it. Keep me posted." Ethan hung up, his mind racing. Olivia's desperation meant Pinnacle was in deeper trouble than he'd thought. He needed to move, but carefully. One wrong step and she'd have him in court for years. He grabbed his coat and headed for the Charles River Esplanade, needing air to think. The path was quiet, the water reflecting a bruised sky. Ethan's phone stayed in his pocket, but he could feel its weight. Clara's calls, texts from other clients, word of his firing had spread like wildfire. He'd built his division on relationships, not algorithms, and those relationships were his armor. Clara Monroe, with her fierce loyalty and sharp instincts, was proof, but Olivia was betting he'd slip, that he'd reach out to a client and give her the excuse to crush him. Back home, Ethan found another email from Ryan, sent from a burner address. "Meet me at the Rusty Anchor, 3 p.m., don't bring your phone." The Rusty Anchor was a dive bar in Southie, far from Pinnacle's glass tower. Ethan's gut churned. Ryan was scared enough to go dark. But this could be another trap, a way to catch Ethan with stolen intel. He weighed the risks, then grabbed his keys. If Ryan was clean, he might have answers. If not, Ethan would spot the setup a mile away. The bar smelled of stale beer and fried clams, its dim lights barely cutting through the haze. Ryan was already there, hunched in a corner booth, a Red Sox cap pulled low. His hands trembled as he nursed a beer, his eyes darting to the door. "Ethan," Ryan whispered as Ethan slid into the booth. "I shouldn't be here if they find out." "They won't," Ethan said, his voice calm but firm. "What's on the USB, and why are you risking your neck?" Ryan leaned closer, his voice barely audible. "Pinnacle's imploding. Olivia's digital team's a disaster. Clients are bailing, revenue's down 55% this quarter. She's blaming you, saying your outdated methods left a mess. But it's her. She's reassigned your biggest accounts to her tech bros, and they're bombing. Clara Monroe's threatening to walk." Ethan's jaw tightened. 55%. The PDF had said 30%. If Ryan was right, Pinnacle was on the brink. And the board? They don't know the half of it. Olivia's cooking the books, delaying reports, but there's more. Ryan slid a folded paper across the table. "This came from her office. I borrowed it." Ethan unfolded it, his eyes scanning the text. It was an internal memo, dated 2 weeks before his firing, outlining a restructuring plan. His name was circled in red with a note, "Replace with digital first leader. Non-compete enforcement critical." Olivia's signature was at the bottom, but there was no board approval stamp. She'd acted alone. "This is dynamite," Ethan said, folding the memo. "But why give it to me? You're her golden boy now." Ryan's face darkened. "I'm a figurehead. She promoted me to your spot. But I'm just a name. Her team makes the calls, and they're tanking everything you built. I can't watch it burn." Ethan studied him. Ryan was loyal, but fear made people sloppy. This memo could be a plan. You know that. Ryan nodded, his eyes haunted. "I know. That's why I'm out after this. I'm done with Pinnacle." Ethan pocketed the memo, his mind already working. If the memo was real, Olivia had overplayed her hand, firing him without board approval. If it was a trap, she'd miscalculated his caution. Either way, he had leverage. Back home, Ethan called Ben again. New evidence. Internal memo, no board stamp. Olivia went rogue. Watching it through with depression. We should look at her. Dan said, if this checks out, she's toast, but you need to stay clean. No moves until I confirm. Understood. Ethan hung up, his eyes drifting to his notebook. An idea was forming, bold and dangerous. Olivia thought media was about data, clicks, metrics. But Ethan knew better. Studios like Monroe's thrived on trust, on late-night calls and shared visions. If Pinnacle was abandoning that, there was an opening, not just for survival, but for something bigger. He opened his laptop and drafted a single document, a business filing for Caldwell Media Solutions. No website, no marketing, just a legal entity to accept payments. He'd stay under the radar, let Olivia think she'd won. But he was done playing defense. The next morning, Clara called again. This time, Ethan answered. Clara, I'm listening. About damn time, she said, her voice a mix of relief and frustration. Pinnacle's new guy showed up yesterday with a PowerPoint and no clue. Told me we should pivot to short-form video. I nearly threw him out. Ethan, I need you. $20,000, 0 cents for 2 months, consulting only. No conflict with Pinnacle. Ethan hesitated. It was a lifeline, but he smelled Olivia's shadow. Send me the contract. I'll have my lawyer check it. Clara laughed. Still paranoid. Good, you'll need it. As Ethan hung up, his phone buzzed with a text from Ryan. They're watching you. Private investigator, hired last week. Be careful. Ethan's blood ran cold. Olivia wasn't just setting traps. She was hunting him. A PI could dig up anything, his calls, his meetings, even this conversation. He needed to move faster, but smarter. Over the next week, Ethan kept a low profile, working from a coffee shop in Cambridge to avoid his home Wi-Fi. Ben confirmed the memo was real. Olivia had bypassed the board, a fireable offense. The non-compete was toothless, too vague to hold up. Ethan was free, but freedom came with a target on his back. Then came the call that changed everything. Arthur Grayson, Pinnacle's board chairman, requested a meeting at the Union Club, a bastion of old Boston money. Ethan arrived early, the dark wood and leather armchairs a stark contrast to Pinnacle's sterile tower. Arthur, 70 and silver-haired, waited in a private room, 2 scotches poured. Ethan, Arthur said, his voice gravelly, we made a mistake. Olivia's leadership is faltering. Revenue's down 60%. Clients are fleeing. We want you back. Chief Revenue Officer, above her. Full control. Ethan sipped his scotch, masking his shock. 60%. Pinnacle was in free fall. Why me? He asked, his tone neutral. Arthur's eyes hardened. You're the only one our clients trust. Olivia's digital experiment is a disaster. We need you to fix it. Ethan leaned back, the pieces clicking. Olivia's firing him was a power grab, but the board had let it happen, too spineless to intervene. Now, with Pinnacle's stock down 25% in 2 days, they were panicking. But Arthur's offer wasn't salvation, it was a gilded cage. They wanted Ethan to clean up Olivia's mess, then take the fall when she inevitably struck back. I need time, Ethan said, standing. This is a big decision. Don't take too long, Arthur warned. We're bleeding. Ethan walked out, the city's pulse thrumming around him. He could go back, reclaim his throne, and dismantle Olivia's empire, but the thought left him cold. Pinnacle wasn't his anymore. It was a sinking ship, and he wasn't going down with it. That night, Ethan sat in his study, his notebook open. A new idea burned in his chest, reckless and exhilarating. What if he didn't just survive? What if he built something better? Not a company, but a collective. A network of studios sharing resources, free from corporate shackles. A rebellion built on the one thing Olivia couldn't replicate. Trust, he called Clara. I'm in, but not as a consultant. I'm starting something new. A collective for studios like yours. No bureaucracy, just partnerships. You interested? Clara didn't hesitate. Hell yes. I'll put in $50,000, 0 cents to start. I know 2 others who'll match it. Ethan smiled, his first real smile in days. Send me their names. We're doing this. The next day, Ben confirmed the collective structure was legally sound. No non-compete violation, no poaching. Ethan filed the paperwork, naming it Caldwell Content Collective. He rented a small office in Somerville, far from Pinnacle's reach, and hired a single assistant, a sharp recent grad named Mia, who understood social media but respected Ethan's analog soul. Word spread fast. Monroe Studios signed on, followed by 2 others, each ponying up $50,000, 0 cents. Within a month, the collective had 10 members, stretching from Boston to New York. Forbes called, sniffing a story. Ethan declined an interview. He didn't need headlines, not yet. Pinnacle, meanwhile, collapsed. A leaked earnings call revealed a 60% revenue plunge, worse than anyone feared. Olivia resigned after a brutal board meeting, her digital dream in ashes. The company teetered on bankruptcy, its clients flocking to Ethan's collective. Ethan stood in his Somerville office, watching Mia pin a map to the wall, marking their members' locations. Clara walked in, a bottle of champagne in hand. To you, Ethan, she said, raising a glass. You didn't just survive, you changed the game. Ethan clinked her glass, his throat tight. He thought of Henry Whitaker, of late nights building something real. The collective wasn't just a business, it was a legacy, proof that people still mattered more than data. As the champagne burned his lips, Ethan felt something he hadn't in months. Hope. Not just for himself, but for an industry that could still be saved.